So once you've earned all your certificates and ratings, what kind of jobs are out there for pilots? We've already touched on one possible occupation for a professional pilot, but although flight instructing is a very satisfying and rewarding profession, most pilots consider it a jumping-off point for bigger and better opportunities. Perhaps the first thing that comes to mind when you think of a career in aviation is a prestigious job as an airline pilot. Airline pilots fly all types and sizes of aircraft, transporting people all around the world. Airline pilots go through a rigorous training process to make them some of the highest trained and most skilled pilots in the skies. Most pilots start off as a first officer for a regional airline and work their way up to captain for a major air carrier. Pilots will fly different types and sizes of aircraft depending on the routes and destinations of the flight. The typical airline pilot will always do much more than just fly. Airline pilots have to make weather and weight and balance decisions, as well as work with an entire flight crew. Additionally, every 6 months, airline pilots must go through a recurrent training course to keep their skills sharp. Airline pilots usually work long hours and strange shifts, but will also get long breaks of time off between trips, allowing for a chance to see the world. Every now and then, we see scenes of raging fires on TV and brave firefighters deployed to fight them. However, some of the firefighters won't be found on the ground, but in the sky above the fires. Visual maneuvering in the fire traffic area to drop fire suppressant material on or ahead of rapidly moving wildfires requires a unique blend of flying skills. Aerial firefighters can bring in large quantities of water or fire retardant to remote sites and do it with speed and precision. Without their help, many of these fires would rage out of control and consume large swaths of land. In the future, this will require pilots comfortable with turbine aircraft and capable of transitioning from conventional flight to visual flying close to terrain and marginal weather conditions. A variety of experience and a desire to be part of a very professional group of aviators could lead to aerial firefighting and a satisfying career. There are over 11 billion acres of farmland in the world, 900 million acres in just the United States alone. That's a lot of crops that need to be fertilized and sprayed with insecticides. For many of the larger farms, the preferred method of doing this is to enlist the help of professional crop dusters. If you've never witnessed a crop duster at work, it's something that you've got to see to fully appreciate. The men and women that do this work are brave, talented pilots. Literally flying just a few feet above the ground, these pilots make pass after pass over the crops, many times having to climb abruptly to avoid trees and power lines, all the while making sure the material they are spraying is uniformly applied to the crops. This is not a career for the timid. Anytime you are maneuvering this close to the ground, the margin for error is greatly reduced. This type of work requires excellent stick and rudder skills and quick reflexes on the part of the pilot. Typically, small single-engine airplanes are used, but there are some farms that are so extensive that twin-engine turboprop airplanes can be used. Helicopters are also used, but not nearly as often as fixed-wing airplanes. So if you're looking for a flying job that requires a steady hand, exceptional piloting skills, and a touch of the daredevil spirit, agricultural spraying might be just the job for you. For those that are looking for something similar to the type of piloting done at the airlines but on a smaller scale, flying as an air taxi pilot for a charter operation could be just what you're looking for. Air taxi pilots have a varied schedule and route, making the job both challenging and interesting at the same time. Unlike the airlines that fly the same scheduled routes day after day, air taxi pilots can be all over the country on different days during the same week. Additionally, charter pilots work closely with their customers. They are responsible for coordinating ground transportation, catering, and other special requests their customers might have. Charter pilots may be taking a businessman or woman to an important meeting one day and be transporting a family to their favorite vacation getaway the next day. That's why it is so important that charter pilots have good people skills and know how to make their customers happy. As far as commercial pilot jobs go, being an air taxi pilot flying charter is one of the most interesting careers you can have. You get to travel to a variety of destinations. There is no set schedule, and you never know who you will meet. If you want to fly heavy jets, but don't want to deal with all the added hassles that go with transporting passengers, then maybe flying cargo is the job for you. Of course, you'll have to be willing to work evenings, since most cargo flights occur at night. However, many pilots say they prefer flying during off-peak hours. Best of all, the boxes you are hauling will never give you grief if you make a less than perfect landing at your destination. Although there are plenty of small cargo businesses that fly light single-engine and multi-engine airplanes, the major players in the cargo industry fly the same types of airplanes that the major airlines do. FedEx has a fleet of over 600 airplanes, most of which are turbojet or turboprop aircraft, and the industry as a whole flies over 2,000 jets, most of which are standard and wide-body freighters. These planes are modified versions of the jets that the airlines fly. As a cargo pilot, you may not get all the glory and recognition that airline pilots get, but you'll be flying into the same airports and using the same equipment they do, all the while avoiding those busy rush hour and passenger issues associated with prime time air carrier operations. No discussion of pilot careers would be complete without talking about the opportunities that exist within the military services. Each branch of the United States military has an aviation component associated with it. Of course, some kind of commitment in terms of years served is required to get into the military, but if you are willing to make that commitment, you'll have the opportunity to fly some of the most advanced airplanes in the world. As a matter of fact, counting all branches of the United States military, there are over 10,000 airplanes that need well-trained pilots to fly them.